So I think most of us know that as romanticized and beautiful as we think going to belly dance in Egypt is, the reality is that being a dancer in Egypt, this is not a highly regarded occupation. In fact, it can get you in some trouble. So how does that work there, that being known as a dancer? I mean, what is backlash, if you will, and what precautions or bad situations can come if people find out that you are a dancer, even if you're a foreigner? I imagine it's worse if you're a native-born dancer.
Yeah, boy. I've been very lucky to not have a lot of problems with this, but I could tell you, having the group, I had several Egyptian girls who were working folklore, not even belly dance. They were dancing folklore in covered costumes, even with, maybe tights on in beige and bike shorts down to here, and, the obligatory folklore undergarments, They're covered essentially, and they hid from their families that they were dancing. They would tell them they were working as animation in a hotel or guest relation or anything. Oh, I'm in Sharm el Sheikh working in a hotel. But they were hiding the fact that they were dancing because they knew, their dad would kill them.
Go through the roof,
or kill them, or whatever, be disowned. We had one girl, so sad, she was working for us only for a few months, and something happened in the family. The sister told someone, and the cat was out of the bag, and she had to leave. And she told me, she goes, she had worked folklore for another group for like 5 years, and she had worked with us for a couple months, and she said, this was the first time in my life where I felt like I was doing something. And I mean, I was like, can we just marry you off to one of the guys in the group so you could just stay with us? Like, that was her only hope, really, was just to get married, and then the husband, agreed to that. But I mean, a family would not allow a girl to marry a guy that would let her dance. I mean, that would just be absurd, of course. So she had to go. But you know what? I'll never forget that. And that was within our first several months of running the company. So that was a real taste of how the culture is there. So nobody wants really their daughter or wife or family member to be dancing. They might hire them at the wedding to show off to their friends to look great, but yeah, there's definitely this dichotomy. Very difficult for most Egyptians. Maybe they ran away from their family, or their family came from artists, so that was easier. Like mom and dad were in the business, and now I'm doing it.
They were tolerant about it.
So there, it's kind of maybe passed down a little bit. I mean, not like the Gawazi, but how this was happening. And also, most Egyptians, like, we do the dance maybe because we love it, and so we're suffering for no money. But almost every Egyptian I've ever met who's in the business, they might enjoy it, but they're doing it for the money, because there's no other way. There is no other way they can make. Maybe even they have their degree in something, they can't make that money for them. It's the best money that they could almost possibly make, unless they're a doctor or have a really good business, family business, or lucrative job. It is the way that they can feed their children, pay for their dad's surgery, buy a car, live. So this situation of they will do this job that is not respected so that they can provide for their family. I know some Egyptian stars who hid that fact. Maybe their family knew, but they hid it from their neighbors. So you go to their house, you're not talking about belly dancing. You aren't dancing around. You aren't allowed to show your shoulders, because they want their neighbors to not know this. They want to look like normal,
very
upstanding
respectable
citizens who happen to have this nice house, but they don't want to show the people. So, keeping the costumes in a suitcase in the trunk of the car, you don't see a cane come out. It stays in the place of work or hidden. I mean, it was a real shock to me to see that. Okay, as far as foreigners go, unfortunately, there's always this double standard. As a foreigner, usually the people are like, oh, cool, oh, so can you dance? Oh, well, how did you learn? What can you do? But they're kind of intrigued by it and interested. And then if you're good and, you meet their criteria, then, it's interesting for them. So I feel as though I have not been judged by the same standards. For example, I pass the test with the managers or the musicians or the agents or whatever, I don't have people judging me on that same level. Now, do I walk around saying, I'm a belly dancer? No, of course not. People in the business, because I know so many other dancers, not many people go, oh, so what do you do? I mean, that doesn't happen so much because the people that I'm around know exactly what I do. But if I'm ever somewhere and I meet some nice lady who's a friend of someone and she says, you know, what do you do? I say, well, I'm an artist. And they go, oh, well, are you a singer? Are you an actress? And I said, well, I love singing and I enjoy acting very much, but I'm a dancer. And then I say, I have my degree in ballet from the university. That's the first thing I do, to let them know I have my education in dance. And I teach and choreograph for adults and children. And they're like, oh, and they're loving it. And then, dun, 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 and then I say, and I do belly dance. And sometimes they're like, oh, and you can get that kind of look. Or sometimes they're like, oh, really? But you've warmed them up. I know how I have to butter them up a little bit, to tell them about the education, to tell them about the children.
Make it palatable.
To make it something that they can. Yeah. So what I really do try to do is actually change the way people see it. Now, I'm not acting like I'm this big, example of, somebody who's holding the integrity of the arts, but I really do try. I really do try, shwaya shwaya, to make the people, if they're like this, to make them kind of be like, well, hey, not to be offensive, not to, make a lot of people upset, be respectful, have a sense of humor about it.
Sorry.
Well, no, I was just going to say, so I don't walk down the street wearing skimpy clothing. That's the first thing that goes, whether you're a belly dancer or anything else. You're foreign, great. You move to Egypt, fantastic. If you're in Sharm el-Sheikh, hey, when I go there to visit, I go to the beach, I wear a bikini, I wear a sundress, I match in with what's happening. But in Cairo, you know what? And it used to kind of really feel like a burden. It used to really annoy me. But now that I'm there and I'm working, it's like something you just say, this is what it is. If I'm going to the festival or I'm going to a hotel for not work, like maybe doing a show, but for the festival, I might be wearing a shorter dress or something, and I'm just jumping into a taxi and going there and jumping into the hotel. I'm not walking down the street for any period of time, wearing any sort of skimpy short stuff. Yes, in the summer I might wear a tank top to the gym, close by, but I'm wearing capris. I'm just trying to be mindful because I don't want to bring attention to myself. Now, the kids in the neighborhood, I think a few of them know because they see me, when they're on their way to school, they see me coming out of the car. They may see a cane, maybe they're seeing the fake eyelashes or whatever. But again, I try always, maybe I'm wearing something like I'm wearing now, some leggings, a top, a tunic type, just in between gigs, maybe I'm wearing an abaya, jumping from place to place, but my last show, I put on my clothes, and I just try to look like if I had to go to the supermarket right now, I could go. And that's my rule. If I could go to the supermarket, I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good.
You have your camouflage
I've got
on.
I may have an exuberant amount of makeup on, excessive, and, of course, you're going to call attention. The minute you speak English, people are like, oh. So, but you just have to be kind of aware and mindful, and if you're not up for that, then you just better be ready for, if they do it anyway.
Unwanted attention.
Unwanted, and they do it anyway, and it's unfortunate, but there's a few of the kids that know, and sometimes they'll go, Fanana, Fanana, they'll yell after me, which means artist. Ra'asa, that's like kind of a lower way to say it. I mean, not that that's a horrible thing, but dancer, that's a dancer. Fanana is like artist. So I'm like, well, at least they're calling me a fanana. Could be worse.